A heartbreaking loss for the New York Knickerbockers at the world's most famous arena on Sunday night, and this time dropping one to the Memphis Grizzlies as they fall to 9-11 on the season. So let's talk some Knicks hoops with my guy. He is the dean of Knicks Film School. That is Jonathan Macri. John, what's going on, man? How you doing?
I'm doing okay. Bit of a heartbreaker tonight, as we were just talking about, but all things considered, some good, some bad about this team, as we probably expected or should have expected coming into this season.
Yeah, that's generally how you feel with some good, some bad when the team is in a mediocre state. But before we get into the struggles, the Knickerbocker struggles, that is, John, can we talk about Jalen Brunson?
Yes, please.
Yes, let's talk about him. Brunson showed out against Memphis. He showed how good he's been all season. 30 points in this one, 11 assists, 5 boards. I know he missed 2 shots late with a chance to win the game, but is he clearly New York's best player?
He is, Dexter, and to be honest, I'm not sure it's close this season. I mean, if you just take a quick look at the counting stats, you see, Julius is scoring a lot of points. Even RJ's points, despite his shooting struggles, are still, kind of high, and they those other guys fill up some box score categories. Jalen Brunson's on a different level. He puts his team on his back routinely, regularly, and the best thing you could say about him is he's still making all the right plays. His efficiency has been sky high. He's never going to be the best player on the defensive end, but he battles. I think you need to start the Jalen Brunson all-star conversation right about now, because based on his play this season, he's earned entry into that conversation, and I suspect he may wind up finding his way onto the team.
Okay, Jalen Brunson in the all-star conversation. I think it's fair. He's been balling out. Can't be mad at that at all. Now, moving on to the struggles. What's the biggest concern for you, with this team right now? Between these two options I'm going to give you, is it how poorly the team is defending the three-point shot or how poorly that they are shooting the ball from downtown? Which one would you pick?
I'm going to go with the defense. Look, they're last in the NBA in three-point shooting. It's obviously a concern. I think some of that will get better just as guys regress towards the mean for their careers. Quentin Grimes, Emmanuel Quickly, even Jalen Brunson, for as good as he's been, hasn't shot the three very well. RJ, Julius, all these guys are going to shoot at least a little bit better, maybe a lot better. The defense is where the real issue is, because that's been the calling card of Tom Thibodeau through his 2 years and really through his entire career. I'll say this, Tibbs teams, especially here in New York, have given up a lot of threes, but they also take away the paint. The biggest problem this year is that they're giving up a ton of threes, yes, but they're not taking anything away, or at least not to the extent they have in the previous 2 years. As far as how you fix that three-point defense, I think some of it is just, it'll get better as, guys learn how to play with each other a little bit more. Guys also just individually need to be better. Like RJ Barrett needs to be better closing out, getting around screens. Julius Randle needs to get out on his guys if they're in the corner, or someone puts them in some sort of pick and roll action. Like, these are correctable problems, but we haven't yet seen them be corrected, which is disconcerting.
Okay, moving on. The Knicks, they've played 20 games. Where do you stand with where the Knicks are at the quarter mark of the season? How do you evaluate the 9-11 Knickerbockers?
I think the record, give or take a game, is about where I expected it to be. Again, to just go back to the defense, if you told me that 20 games in, they would be the 27th ranked defense in the league, I'm not sure I would have believed you. I think that will get better. I think the best sign for them moving forward is that despite the fact that they're 30th in three-point percentage right now, they're the 15th best offense in the league, and they are leaning into a lot of strengths on the offensive end of the floor. They're scoring at a really nice clip. They're playing so much faster than they did last season. I believe they were 10th in pace last time I checked, and they are, for a team that shot nothing but long twos for several years, they're shooting less long twos than any team in the league. So they're doing a lot of nice things on offense. If they could just figure out the defense, and I think there might have to be a personnel change here or there, but I think they can. I think there is a chance they could be a little bit better than mediocre, before we get too deep into the season.
Okay, John, we talked about how there might need to be a personnel change, and you and I were talking about this a bit earlier, but it's fair to look at this roster and think right now they're in the land of NBA mediocrity. So what do you think the team should do with this roster going forward?
Well, what I think they should do, I'm not sure it's the same thing as what they will do. I mean, look, Jalen Brunson, you got a core piece here. Keep him. The young players, Some of them run a little hot and cold. For the most part, I think you're pretty happy with how all of those guys have looked. And I'm talking about the guys still on rookie contracts. It comes down to Julius Randle and RJ Barrett. I don't know that those two players have ever made a whole lot of sense on the same roster together. Their games kind of overlap in a lot of ways and not in ways that amplify each other. I think the biggest question for this organization moving forward is, do you move one of those players? Do you move both of those players? The thing with RJ is, because he just signed an extension, makes his contract a little bit tricky, or arguably very tricky, to move this season. Julius Randle, it's just about finding a taker and finding a price point that you're happy with. If you're asking me what I think they should do, I think they should start looking perhaps for a new home for Julius, and it would help the team in a lot of different ways. Sort of take one step back to take two steps forward sort of way. But that would be the thing that I would look to do.
All right. We will see what the Knicks look to do as they move forward in season 9-11 through the quarter game mark at 20 games. That is Jonathan Macri. You know him as the Dean of Knicks Film School. Jonathan, always good to talk some Knicks hoop with you. Hopefully next time we will talk under happier circumstances. Hoping for that.
Appreciate it as always, Dex. Great talking to you.
Anytime.